lifeless body of a young woman was found hanging naked from a balcony in a historic mansion in Colorado, California. This body belonged to Rebecca Zahau. Rebecca Zahau was a 32-year-old Asian American who moved here from Burma as a young girl hoping for a better life in a new country. She grew up and married Jonas Shacknight, who was a plastic surgeon and a multi-billionaire. He had several mansions all over California. He also had 3 children, one's which name was Max. And Max was 6 years old. And one day, Rebecca was in charge of watching him while everyone else was out of the mansion. And while she wasn't paying attention, it is thought that he may have ran his scooter down the stairs and cracked his skull and severed his spine. Just 2 days later, Rebecca's body is found hanging. Although the circumstances are quite strange because her arms are tied behind her back with the knot facing upwards, like she could not have possibly tied it herself. She's also bound and gagged and naked, also on her menstrual cycle with menstrual blood running down her legs, which is strange. The police also found a witch book next to her bed, which had a book which was open to a page of bondage where there was knot tying on this one particular page that she was reading. She would also just so happen to be staying with Adam, which is Jonas Shacknight's brother, who just came to stay with them for emotional support during Max's time of need. When he was the only one in the house with Rebecca at the time, he was also the one who found Rebecca and cut her body down. And the police later found that he was watching just 2 hours before her death, Asian bondage porn in his room. The police did take him in for questioning, and he did not pass a polygraph, but it was indefinite. It wasn't decisive. It wasn't necessarily that he did it or that he didn't do it. Jonas Shacknight was also clear because he was at the hospital at the time, and his ex-wife, which is Max's mother, was also cleared, even though it's thought that she was pretty bitter about her believing Rebecca was being irresponsible and not watching her son like she should have been, and the whole situation. She blamed Rebecca for the entire situation, obviously. Even though Rebecca's family seems to think that there's more to the entire situation, they don't believe that Rebecca was just being negligent, that there was possibility that someone could be out to get that family due to dark secrets, because Jonah is known for running a sketchy company, and he has over 300 sexual assault allegations just to his firm alone. So he was going through a lot of that. He owed a lot of people money. It's thought that they could have possibly been killed by the mob. And this could have had nothing to do with either of them, because they found written on the door close to where she was found hanging were the words, "She saved him, can you save her?" And the police thought it was weird because whoever wrote this obviously believed that Max lived, which he actually didn't end up living through this, sadly. But so the message was, since she saved him, are you going to be able to save her? So does that message mean more, or was the message put there just to take attention away from somebody else? No one really knows. The police also closed the case. They called it a suicide, but 4 months later, the coroner decided to do another second autopsy and found that there was definitely signs of foul play, or at least there was marks on her skull, which the police tried to argue she possibly swung and hit her head against the concrete walls while she was hanging herself, and that's possibly where they could be from. But this is later concluded not possible because of how far and hard she would have had to hit the walls. The bed that she hung herself from was scooted up too far, or wasn't scooted up far enough for her to have jumped off the edge. The bed would have scooted with the rest of her weight. And her family just refuses to believe that she could have possibly killed herself because she was a God-fearing Christian woman and she didn't believe in suicide. And her sister had talked to her just 2 hours before, and she said that she sounded fine, and none of it made any sense. And she just didn't understand why she would all of a sudden want to kill herself. And she didn't even know that Max had passed away or anything. So, we may never know what happened to Rebecca Zahau.